So the nature of the work that you'll do in your career is characterized by complex and collaborative problem solving. And the college really does a great job preparing you for getting your first role in this workplace. However, what you'll find is, as soon as you leave this place, you'll be responsible for your professional development. And in order to get a job doing these complex, collaborative problems, you need three things. You need to have some subset of knowledge, skills, and abilities that fit the job. You need to know how to work hard, and you have to be minimally rewarded to deal with. That is, you can't be such a jerk that nobody wants you around. And when you get your first job, it's an amazing feeling. Somebody wants you. Somebody knows that you have these skills. Somebody knows that you're not a complete jerk. And what you'll find very quickly, however, is that you're going to need to prepare for what's next. Once you start this job, you'll actually find that you'll not be able to keep doing the same role that you've been selected for your entire career. Nor will you probably want to. These complex collaborative problems that you're solving will change, or you'll be asked to take a different role in the teams that are attempting to solve them. So in order to maintain a career that you want, that's fulfilling, you're going to develop new skills. And unfortunately, your company is not going to take care of this for you. Some companies have great programs, leadership development, corporate universities, and things that are available to develop you. However, these are really only accessible to people who've been designated top talent. If you're an entrepreneur, or if you're working for a nonprofit, or if you're unemployed, these things will not be accessible to you. And even for the few people for whom these things are accessible, what you're doing is you're fulfilling the company's plan for you. They want to build a deep bench of people who can work long hours and make decent money to potentially just be laid off if the stock price goes the wrong way. This might not be what you want for your career. The other issue is that most of the career decisions that people make come from the outside. A position opens up because someone is promoted. Someone sees the great work that you do and says, you should take on this new position. Or you just get so frustrated with the role you have, you find something else, anything else. And so we take on these new roles for money, for status, out of obligation, just to get a change. And what can happen after 2 or 3 or 5 of these decisions is you look back and you say, I don't know how I got here. This isn't where I intended to be. What happened? And the truth of the matter is, without a strong sense of who we are and what we might want our career to be, we have no chance of intentionally evaluating these external opportunities and deciding if they truly are right for us. And we also have no chance to seek out the opportunities that would give us the career that we want if we don't know what that is and who we are. And this is not what I want for you. I want you to own your own career development, decide who you want to be, and make it happen. So we're good, right? You set? I can leave? Actually, probably what you're thinking is, that does sound good. That is the career I want, but how would I go about making that happen? And my belief is, what you really need is a professional development coach. And I prefer this term to executive coach because, frankly, executives are not the only ones, or even the people who need it most. And so the reason why a professional development coach is what you need is, a coach will bring you in, use tools to learn about you, help figure out what your career path is, and then set up the situation that will allow you to move in that direction. So this truly is your career, not someone else's. But in order for a coach to be able to do that, you need to ask a few questions of yourself. And the first one is, what do I want in a career? And normally we say, I want a successful career. But unfortunately, that's not very helpful. And so there's ways we can look to get a better sense of what we truly want. John Budd has an excellent book called The Thought of Work that philosophically goes through the different things that work can be for people. And what you find out is that if you believe work is a curse from God, you're going to have a very different career trajectory or plan than if you think work can actually be your identity or personal fulfillment. Once we know kind of what work is to you, we can take the next step and say, well, what do you really enjoy about work? And Peter Moore spent his career looking for the things that bring joy and fulfillment in work. And these include things like using your skills, contacts with other people, variety, and yes, money. And what we find is that, well, these things are good, people want different amounts of them. And so a systematic analysis of what you currently have in your position, what you really want, and what you could have, allow you to make a decision that's very different than just saying, I want something new. And so once you get a sense of what you might want, the next question is, who am I? And by this I really mean, what is your personality? What is unique about you compared to other people? And so this includes how you habitually respond to everyday situations. We call this the bright side of personality. But we also want to know the dark side of personality. And this is actually the things that can derail your career. The things, how you respond negatively under stress, or you're not self-monitoring. And then beyond that, we want to go to the next level and say, what are your motives, values, preferences, and interests? Because if we can get a good picture of who you are, we can actually search for a career in a position that fits you. And there's a lot of tools out there for this. You can kind of look on the internet, but you really probably need systematic help to weed through everything that's available. So once you have a sense of what you want in a career and who you are, what you really need to answer is, where am I now? And by this I mean, how are you performing today? And the way we do this is we actually have you sit down and rate your performance on a number of competencies. And these include things like leadership, teamwork, conflict management, decisiveness, political astuteness. And we can actually do this fairly systematically by giving you a definition of these terms, giving you behavioral anchors, and having you really reflect on where your performance level is. But we want to go beyond that because you have blind spots. And so we bring in other people to do the same ratings about you. People in your company, people above you, people alongside of you. Because there might be some things that you're really good at, but no one has ever seen you do them. There might be things you think you're not so good at, but other people have a different opinion. And by bringing all this information together, we can really get a sense of where you are. And this reputation you have for performance is the thing that opens the next door for you. So, this is what the process looks like. You need to build a team. This starts by finding someone to help, a coach that can direct it. Then you need the other people who are willing to help you answer these questions and willing to evaluate you, hopefully multiple times, and willing to do it honestly. So this isn't your friend who says, yes, you're awesome. This isn't your parent who says you're very smart. This is someone who says, you know what? You don't deal with conflict very well. And then after that, you need to evaluate yourself. You need to answer all these questions that I just went through. Systematically get all of this information available. And this ends up being an overwhelming amount of information. And so that's why our coach can come in, say, here's the thing that you really want to focus on right now. This is something that will help you determine what will be successful in this career or choose another one. And you can go back to these things as you need to. Once you've done that, then you have to choose what to work on. And when you're choosing what to work on, I normally say you want to stick to a competency or two. The freedom here, though, is you can pick a strength to get better at, or you can pick a weakness to improve on. You can pick on something that's actually relevant for your current career, or something that would actually get you that next job that you want to have. So you have the freedom there to choose. And then reevaluate how you're doing and keep going. So your coach, once you pick what to work on, will give you the opportunities, the learning plans, the training to kind of develop that thing, but you want to see what's happening. So it's normally like a monthly meeting or so with the coach, and then a reevaluation of your performance on those competencies every 6 months or a year to get a really good sense of where you are. So what does this look like? Well, the first client that I had a really interesting job. He was hired into a company to work on their training and development, and they didn't have anything. So they essentially said, you make the job what it should be, which is pretty cool as an opportunity as a new sort of employee, but it's also kind of scary and you don't necessarily know if you're doing well. And so what I did is I took him through all the process, evaluate what he wanted, who he is, how he was doing, and it turned out that he was doing quite well. He recognized that he was doing well, and so did a lot of the other people in the company. But he said, you know what? I get stuck sometimes, and I'm not as decisive as I'd like to be. And so we really picked his first sort of thing to work on was decisiveness. And so as he's working on this, a week later, he finds himself in a meeting with the CEO. And the CEO is super excited. He's like, I have a plan. I know exactly what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And my client's response was, no, that's a terrible idea, and here's why. And the CEO goes, Yes, that's why I hired you. You're an expert in this area. Your job is to tell me no when I need to be told no. So this was like a big thing, a big change for the client. And he said that his natural response would have been to say nothing, go back to the office, and maybe sort of write an email to someone else and be like, I don't know if that's the path we're going to go down. And he actually said having this learning goal on his head was enough to make him respond in that way as opposed to his natural inclination. And so we'll see sort of where this goes and builds from here, but it really is an interesting thing to have that goal and to build it yourself. Another example. As I talk about this professional development and how I think it should be done based upon my training and research, my friends in engineering were like, we need this. Our engineers are technical experts. They can totally handle the complex side of things, as you saw before with Dr. Henshaw and see later with the next speaker. And so they're great, but as soon as they get hired, they're asked to lead teams, to actually be collaborative, and to be in this position. And so they could really use this type of professional development. And so what we did is we sort of pulled together a plan and we said, hey, NSF, we think this is a good idea, and we were lucky enough to have them say, we agree. And so we developed this program, and what we do is we have an engineering graduate student rate him or herself. Their supervisor or mentor also rates them. They come together and say, which things do I need to work on now, and how can I work on them through my dissertation, through my research, through these other opportunities available on campus. And then, hopefully they'll reassess, see how they're doing, keep going. And so the vision here is a student that can walk into a company. The company's bringing them in because of their technical expertise. And they'll say, what can you bring to this company? And they'll say, well, my technical expertise, what I'm really excited about is the path and trajectory I've had in terms of my teamwork and my conflict management skills. Over the last year, I've been working on these things within my research teams, and I've actually come a long ways. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity of bringing together the team collaboratively through these new skills that I have. I think that that person would get hired. I would hire the person that can come in and talk about their trajectory in that way. So where does this leave us? Well, for me, as a professional coaching advocate, as someone who's trying to be a coach, and as an academic who does research, there's two big things. Number one, I really worry about effectiveness. People love their coaches. People pay 5 figures and up to have an executive coach. And they say, my coach is great, don't you dare take the coach away. But that doesn't tell us exactly what is necessary to make coaching effective. And so I'm really interested in collecting data on which pieces of the process are necessary and how we can make this truly work to help people fulfill their career goals. The second thing I really worry about is accessibility. So it does actually require quite a bit of training, quite a bit of tools, quite a bit of time to do this well. So how do we get this type of training to the person who works for the nonprofit, the entrepreneur, the unemployed person who could really use this type of help? I don't know that I have an answer to that. There are some people working on apps that sort of do some of this, but that's something that's really important as I think about this and work on this for the future. And finally, the question is, where does this leave you? If you think that this sounds good, if you think that maybe you don't just want to be the person that does what the company says maybe you should do, or takes a position simply because it's offered to you, I encourage you to investigate finding someone who can help you with professional development and coaching, and then go out and own your own professional development. Thank you.